In 1991, I graduated from Naropa with 6 other writers with an MFA in Writing and Poetics. We all went on to work with words in our respective careers as poets, journalists, teachers, musicians, artists, and activists. Of the many stellar instructors I met at Naropa, I remember Jack Collum as a poet rooted in love, compassion, and science. Jack originated eco-poetics at Naropa. He was our advisor for the outreach program that brought poetry into the community. I thought of Jack and his teachings, his poetics, and his book, Poetry Everywhere, when I joined the Peace Corps in 2015 at the age of 64. For me, Peace Corps was a branch that grew naturally out of the roots of what I had learned at Naropa. Peace Corps goals are threefold. The first is to provide the host nation with trained men and women. In Cambodia, that meant English teachers and healthcare workers. The second goal was to promote the United States of America to the country served. And the third goal is what I'm doing here tonight with you, sharing my experiences in another country. After 2 years, I returned to the USA with a newfound ability to adapt. And a lot of poems and pictures and notes that became my Peace Corps memoir, Mistranslations in the Kingdom of Wonder. The photos that will float behind me here are from my village, Angkasam, in Cambodia. The morning monks, they will chant for your good luck in return for alms. Here is my classroom here. What the windows don't show you is the curious Brahmin cows that would poke their heads through the window to see what we were doing. These flower photo bombers popped out of a field of flowers that I was photographing, absolutely delighted at my surprise. I had 2 art clubs. One was at the high school where I taught English, and another was in a classroom in a rice field near Happiness Homestay. I began to write 100-word observation poems, much like a Japanese haibun, but without the tidy haiku, because Cambodia is not tidy. Here's one from the homestay. Good-hearted eco-tourists at Happiness Homestay love chatty English-speaking students with grand plans to become tour guides or engineers. They want to adopt these adorable children to make a difference in their lives. The Scots visit a rural village. These kids have never seen a white person, says the mister, pleased to be the first. The good-hearted couple offer sips from one bottle of Coca-Cola to a crowd of tiny, laughing Khmer kids. They line up for a taste of the blood of corporate Christ. Photos of small brown faces, bad teeth grinning, eager for a drop of something sweet. She knows. Girl writes the answer on the chalkboard. This is a half selfie. The art clubs were well attended early on in my tour at the school, but after a couple of months, only this boy showed up in a room full of girls that were there to draw and paint. He was on board when we took a field trip of kids, we called it Create Cambodia, of other art club kids and their teachers to Phnom Penh for a weekend of workshops and performances. This poem is for Brave Boppa. Audacious, bright, late morning light sifts through slatted wooden windows, wraps solid desks like ribboned packages. The girl artists bend close to their work. Soft scritch of pen on paper releases a rush of color. Their long hair dips into the light like a brush into paint. The lone boy, tall and toothy, long neck searching, applies his hands, arms, elbows to his drawing. He is a great blue heron among silver swans. He outlines his picture in black for emphasis, underscores his masculinity, asserts his right to draw as he sees, shading his eyes from their audacious bright light. Here's a plural produce seller, blends right into her produce. And toe socks, to my style, fearlessly combining color and pattern. This is a laundry gallery in the nearby Rivertown Campot. I want to read you a little bit from the end of Mistranslations. In my imagination, my camera shutter clicks to capture pictures that I saw but did not take. Click. Two old grandmas with shaved heads dressed in white blouses and long sampats walk home from a funeral hand in hand. Click. A tiny frog leaps out of the grass, black snake reared upright like the letter S in pursuit. Click. Four naked little boys up to their neck in muddy water, splash in a flooded front yard. Other memories. The fishy smell of prahak fermenting in a vat by the clothesline. A cloud of incense that migrates from corners of the pagoda to converge in a haloed smoke ring above the lot. A scent that reminds me to slow down. At the shop where I buy a package of biscuits, a sticky child runs to get her mother. The mother, zaftig in a sparkly blouse, exudes a medley of perfumes, a comfortable maternal smell. My own sweat, sometimes maple syrupy sweet, sometimes briny. I smell myself and ask, girl, how do you get to be so funky? The cool water from the tiled cistern and smell of sandalwood soap that sluices away the funk. A hedge of jasmine by my window that sends tendrils up to my bed once the sun has set. Viscous, sweet, yet veiled, jasmine ignites in moonlight. Cambodia has a soundtrack, too. Funerals and weddings accompanied by banging gongs, fluty bells, and drums before dawn. The incessant buzz of motorcycles that fade into the night. A burble of tractors with elongated crankshafts that sound as though they were powered by bubbles. The morning bell ringer at the school who hammers a rusty wheel to announce the beginning of the school day. 10th grade students repeat English vocabulary lesson in sing-song unison. After the rain, an unseen bird cries out, surreal, surreal. This kaleidoscope of postcard-sized memories represents to me Cambodia, a great swirl of sights, smells, and sounds in the kingdom of wonder, a place like nowhere else. This is where I lived once upon a time in a fever dream, inarticulate, longing, unable to communicate completely, yet doing my best to understand. Pagoda kids, mugging for my camera. Cohorts. This is my neighbor with his fighting cock. The road to my house. Halfway home, I get monsooned My dress feels like a handkerchief after a funeral for a baby. Electricity goes south with the storm. No hot kettle for tea. Shape my soggy straw hat on a chair, set my dress to drip dry, and observe segmented garden through the bars of a window. Rain brims pond and sprouts small rivers as though it came up from the earth as it blooms and bubbles forth. Clouds lose their train, forget what they were doing, wander off muttering. For a moment, between rush of motos, something like silence hovers. Something like patience sinks in. Love for all, hatred for none. Thank you.